Episode 3. Back in Gardenia. This episode started off with the girl zipping through a dimensional portal to Earth with Stella's scepter, and then finally arriving in Gardenia Park in the forest area, walking through until they reach the grass field, still in their Season 3 outfits. Bloom says it feels great to be home again, feeling that Californian sun and breeze, and notice a picnic happening with various of sailors and Marines walking about, hinting that it's the Memorial Day weekend, meaning they arrived in late spring. Then she and the girls grab their luggage and head to Mike and Vanessa's house. Soon they arrive at the door and were greeted by Mike and Vanessa, who are waiting for them. After getting settled in, Vanessa asks Bloom and the girls what this mission is that Bloom could explain over on the phone. Bloom and the girls explain that their mission is about the last Earth fairy living in Gardenia. Mike and Vanessa are shocked that another fairy lives in Gardenia and Earth actually once had fairies and other magical beings that they thought were merely myths and fairy tales. Musa followed up saying that they must find her before the fairy hunters do, otherwise Earth will be in great peril. Mike then said if that was all, then why couldn't they explain it over on the phone? Aisha answered by saying that the mission is top secret and that the Light Rock Council doesn't know that they went behind their backs. She further explained that after what happened at Althea and the info about the last Earth Fairy, 2 of the councilmen voted to do nothing to help both the fairy and the planet. It's a very risky mission that they and the Company of Light are putting themselves in, but if it means to save Earth's only hope, then so be it. Mike says for a council with access to magic and technology that many on Earth dream of having, it's unfortunate that they take a cowardly path. He then says, then again, what do you expect from a world of politics and its politicians? Flora and Stella also said that they also need to upgrade their powers and obtain a fairy form called Believix for any chance against the wizards, and explains what it is and how it's obtained. Vanessa finds it strange, for they thought Enchantex was the final form based on what Bloom told them, and if that's the case, why didn't they obtain this Believix power before when her and Mike knew of the existence of fairies and other magic beings? Tekna explained that Believix and other higher forms are new to them as well, and according to Faragonda, a fairy must first earn her Enchantex where their power is at its zenith to handle the other forms that are just as powerful. Mike and Vanessa knew of the existence and already believed in them when they were in their magic Winx forms, and wouldn't obtain Believix since they already knew. Vanessa says that it does make sense when Tekna put it that way, but Mike still finds the name Believix ridiculous. Regardless, Mike and Vanessa said if there's anything they can assist the girls, they'll have their support. Soon they notice a call from Headmistress Faragonda and the rest of the Company of Light from Tekna's communicator, which she then answered and connected. Here we see the headmasters appearing before them via hologram, asking the Winx if they land on Earth safely, to which they say they did. And Bloom introduced her parents to Faragonda and the Company of Light. Mike and Vanessa said it's a pleasure to finally meet Bloom's headmistress and thank her for all that she's done for their daughter. And Faragonda says the feeling is mutual, and praised many good things about Bloom, and mentioned the amount of trouble she gets herself into over the years. Which Mike and Vanessa saying how they're no stranger to that, and they all looked at Bloom with that judgmental look, who is blushing right now with embarrassment. After the introduction, Bloom explains that her parents are aware of the mission and said they'll help them any way they can. Griffin then asks about the wizards and if they encountered them yet. Musa said fortunately they have not yet, but is still nervous of coming across paths with them again, and the others nod in agreement. Saladin says they understand their concerns and will do everything they can to help. The sooner they find the last Earth Fairy, the better chance they have of taking down the wizards. Stella then asks how the clones were doing and if anyone suspected anything. Faragonda said the clones are doing fine and are teaching the classes as if nothing happened. She admits that she is quite impressed on how convincing Balazar made them to be, and seems to really be keeping his word. Before she and the other headmasters could leave, Faragonda strongly advised the girls to not use magic unless for emergencies only. She doesn't want them to draw any kind of unwanted attention that could jeopardize the mission, and for them, aside from Bloom, to learn to live like ordinary humans to better adapt and blend in, and they all bid the girls farewell. After the call and getting settled, the girl decided to explore the city of Gardinia to get used to their new environment and hopefully find the last fairy. We see a montage of some of the girls hanging out and about in the house, while others are exploring the city, and vice versa, in a scene like in Magical Adventure when they were all stuck on Earth, and this all happened within their first week there. We cut to the next scene where the girls are chilling in the park. The girls, aside from Bloom, express how living like ordinary humans feels a bit odd, but also fun, and that finding the last Earth Fairy should be a breeze, though they're sad that they couldn't find her. Bloom tells them that it's only the beginning, for living like humans isn't as easy as it looks. She's used to it all her life, but they haven't. The girls then tell her that they got this. How bad could it be? Followed by Bloom giggling, saying, "Only time will tell." We then see Tekna getting a phone call from Timmy and the other guys via hologram, who asks the girls how their mission is going. The girls stated that it's going slow because it's difficult trying to find someone who you've never met before, especially when not using magic. Brandon tells them that they'll do alright, that these things take time, but they'll succeed. Aisha added that it'd be so much better if the guys were here with them, to which Naboo said perhaps sooner than they thought. Then Riven stepped in to cut off Naboo, signaling him with expression to not blow their cover. Sky then told the girls that they've got this and will talk to them soon. The girls felt a bit depressed after the call, but they were pleased to get a call from them no less, and they all got up and walked back home. The next day, we see Mike in the kitchen sitting at the table looking stressed and frustrated, which Vanessa caught wind of and asked if he was okay, to which he said that he is, though not really. He began explaining each of the complaints about the girls as he did in the original episode. He's happy that Bloom and the girls are here and sees the other 6 as daughters of his own, but it's not easy dealing with 7 women in the household, and the expenses to pay off bills and food, which they've been struggling to cover financially. Vanessa calms him, saying it's only temporary and they'll be gone after their mission is complete. Bloom and Flora overheard this and felt guilty for taking Mike and Vanessa for granted. They went upstairs and assembled the other girls to discuss what they've heard and should come up with a plan to help around the house, not only doing chores but finding jobs. Musa, Flora, Aisha, and Tekna are all on board, and even though Stella isn't really on board with manual labor, she agrees and plans finding jobs for them. The Winx are seen doing various jobs as we see them do in the original episode in a montage, getting a hang of it at first, but constantly making a lot of mistakes or goofing around, which caused them to get fired. Unknown to them, each of the Winx pass by the same man who coincidentally sees them working and trying each day. The day is almost done with the sun setting down, and we see the girls in Gardenia Park. Each of them explain how living as a human is nearly impossible to do, especially when not using magic. Bloom says she did warn them that it isn't going to be as easy as they hoped, but she understood how they felt. She explains that they're new and she's a bit rusty, but given time, they'll adapt and excel in no time. But the others, in their mind, seriously doubt it. As they exited the park, they bumped into the man each of them constantly passed by. The man introduced himself as Mr. Rooney and told the girls that he has seen each of them and their endeavors. The girls also introduced themselves and said they felt embarrassed that Mr. Rooney had to see their mishaps. Stella says that each of them have tried their best but aren't just cut out for it. They were expected to be expertise from each job they applied for but failed every time, to which the others sadly nodded in agreement. Mr. Rooney reminded them that failure is a necessity to succeed, also adding that you're going to make mistakes in life. It's all part of growing up and a life lesson they must always remember. Flora said that's exactly what Faragonda told them back at Althea. He then offers the girls a job at his toy factory, gives them his business card to contact him if they're still interested in the offer. He told them that they may not see it, but he sees great potential in them. The girls then thank him and will let him know first thing in the morning and head back home. Back at the house, the girl told Mike and Vanessa about the exciting news, to which they congratulate the girls and how fortunate they are, for Mr. Rooney is an owner of a toy factory and advised the girls to take this opportunity seriously. Later that night, Stella came up with the idea of their outfits, for she believes it's time for a new change of scenery, as well as making something to look more mature now that they're fully adults now. Bloom chimes in an offer to help, while the other girls get ready for bed. Here, we see a moment of the two besties hanging out and having a BFF moment when designing the outfits. The next morning, everyone was getting ready and wearing their season 3 outfits and was about to head out the door, but only for them to be stopped by Stella, who then used her magic to give them their season 4 outfits, as well as herself and Bloom. The girls seem to be in awe of their new outfits, although Musa isn't really feeling it because it's too feminine for her taste. Stella explained to Musa that according to the fashion magazine she read here, this is what is expected for young women on Earth to wear to be taken more seriously and to seen as mature. Still not okay with this and even offended by that ridiculous rule, Musa decides to let it go and still thank Stella for taking the time and effort to make an outfit for her, and the girls began to head to their first day of work. Here, Mr. Rooney greeted the girls warmly and gave them the tour of the factory and instructed them their task and gave them their uniforms, much to Stella's dismay because they were ugly as hell. He introduced the girls to the other employees working on the factory and asked them to teach the girls how things are done here. Throughout their shift, the girls looked a bit frustrated with how much stress this is and being paid so little, especially not using magic. Bloom understands but tells the girls that here on Earth they need this job to make a living, and it's not a forever thing. Plus, they need to contribute their part to help Mike and Vanessa with the expenses. This is something they have to learn while living on Earth, and also must learn not to rely too much on magic to fix all their problems. As they were moving the boxes, one of them ripped open from the bottom, spilling out worn-out, broken stuffed toys. Flora picked one of them and said it's sad they must be thrown away, for they still have such potential within them, but alas, continued to work until their shift is done. Side note, Flora didn't create the fairy pets yet, let alone create them in a factory where people can walk in on them easily, because that never made sense to me. It was stupid as hell. As they're done, Mr. Rooney came in to see how the girls and the other employees are doing, congratulating the girls on their first day and said that their shift is over and they can go home. The girls came back home tired, saying that being an Earthling is exhausting and wonder if they'll ever find the last fairy in this rate. Bloom agrees, but tells the girls that it won't be as bad once they get used to it. Tekken and Stella strongly oppose this, that they want this mission to be over with as quickly as possible, for they miss magics and miss using their magic. To which the others, even Aisha to a certain degree, also agrees as well. But she did say that Bloom has a point, that despite the tiresome labor, it feels somewhat rewarding when not using so much magic. Mike and Vanessa also added that there's so many things that magic could do, but then you miss out on all the other fun stuff when not using it. Outside the house, we see a girl casually walking with her dog. Out of nowhere, a stray cat was running scared from one of the residents chasing it away. This resulted the girl to look at the resident with disgust and anger, only to then become compassionate to the distressed cat, who slowly walked up to her. She tells the cat that everything's okay and gently pets it. They both are taking a liking to each other, but only for her dog to bark, scaring the cat. She calmly tells her dog to calm down, but when doing so, she began to glow a magical aura around her. Back in the house, the Winx sensed the magical energy and was then knocked down by the magical shockwave. As we see the girls carrying the cat and walking her dog away from the house, inside we see Mike and Vanessa aiding the girls who are on the ground. Tekna states how faint but powerful that magical energy is. She believes it's possibly the wizards, but Stella points out it isn't likely because she sensed a light coming from that wave of energy. The girls put two and two together and agreed that it's no mistake that this energy must be from the last Earth Fairy they've been searching for. The girls quickly got up and transformed into Enchantix and prepared to go out and search. But before they left, Musa quickly reminded the girls that they can't go out and be seen in their fairy forms. Aisha suggested that they'll use an invisibility spell to hide themselves. They performed a spell on them, then Stella used her Solarian Scepter to teleport them outside and began their search, as they did in the original episode, splitting up into pairs to find the last Earth Fairy. Unfortunately, as they were beginning to search for her, the magical energy has become more faint than usual, so it's hard to find her in the vast group of people within the crowd. They returned home feeling more exhausted that they didn't even find her. Musa then spoke up, saying that the magical energy felt somewhat familiar to her, for whenever they will visit Gardinia in certain areas in the past, but brushed it off because it kept disappearing very quickly. Bloom insists that they'll find her soon, especially now that they recognize her magic trail. The girls then went about their night and head to bed. As the others are sleeping, we see Flora still up thinking about those toys being destroyed and wishing she saved them somehow. But this gave her an idea, and we see her working and sketching on some ideas, and after she put the pencil down, we see a satisfactory smile on her face, ending this episode.